Hello chess friends, welcome to a new video. Imagine you are playing a same color bishops endgame and you have a passed pawn. Do you know when these kind of positions are winning, and also when they are winning, do you know what is the plan to win in these endgames? Also, if you're playing with the pawn down, do you know when you can get a draw, and how is the plan to get a draw in those positions? Well, that's what this video is about, so stay there. The first thing we need to know is that if the defensive king could come in front of the pawn in an opposite colored square than the bishop, then there's nothing to do. I mean, the pawn will be blocked forever. The bishop won't be able to banish then the king out of that square, and the same for the other king. So the pawn is going to be very well blocked by the king, and it's going to be an easy draw. So we are analyzing in this video the positions where the king is not really blocking, and then we are studying how are the possibilities for both sides to win or to get a draw. So this is the first example we are analyzing, and in this position white is going to win more or less easily. The plan here is to intercept this bishop on c6, and then the pawn will be able to promote. That's the idea. So the bishop won't be controlling d7 anymore, and it's not too complicated. We can just play bishop f3 and then bishop c6, and either the bishop trades or goes somewhere, the endgame is won for white. Then king c7 and white wins. If the bishop were in the other diagonal, this one, trying to control over here, then it's also very easy to win, but we need to control or to use now this square c8. The plan is going to be just to take the bishop, take our bishop there to c8, and then we are winning with that idea. So bishop f3, bishop b7, and then bishop c8. Now black has either to trade or move, and in both cases white is winning. So bishop takes, for example, king takes, and this is completely won for white. So we have already studied two positions where it was more or less easy to win. All we needed to do was to use our bishop properly, and in one position our c6 and in the other position our c8, and then it was actually very easy to win in those examples. Now we are going to see that black can also get a draw in these kind of positions, even when they didn't have time to block the passed pawn. There's something they can do with the king and bring into some particular square, and in that way they can defend this endgame and get a draw. Let's see the next position. In this position, as you can see, black has some kind of strange opposition here. That's what we are going to call here backside opposition, and the idea is that if you bring the king in this bishop and pawn versus bishop endgame, if you bring the king here over the backside, you are going to be able to defend the endgame. The idea is that white won't be able to do the plan with the bishop on c8, the one which was winning in the previous endgame, because if that happens, black just trades, and then they are getting the pawn on d6. So let's see what I'm saying. So let's say white tries to do this plan of bringing the bishop here. If that happens, then black just trades and the pawn is hanging on d6. But also, if our bishop were in this diagonal, the plan for white could be to try to bring their bishop to c6. And as you can see, our king on c5 will be controlling, so that plan won't exist. So no matter in which of these diagonals our bishop is, if we have the king in the right square here with the backside opposition, then we are going to be able to defend in this endgame. There won't be anything white can do to win in this kind of positions. The backside opposition plan is very strong, but it's not always working. If one of the diagonals crossing in front of the pawn, these two diagonals, if one of them is too short, then this plan is not going to work. Too short means 3 or less squares, like here. Here this diagonal has only 3 squares. So the backside opposition plan is not really working here, and actually white can win this endgame. And here you can think, well, Mike, I know what you're saying, but actually the bishop is very well here on f3. This diagonal is very long, so there's no problem with the other short diagonal. Well, actually there is a big problem, because in this kind of endgames, white can do something that we could call force the other bishop to change the diagonal. So whenever white wants, they can force the other bishop to go to the other diagonal. That's very easy. All they need to do is to bring the bishop here in front, and then when this bishop moves, then we move somewhere in this diagonal, and the bishop will have to go. We have to change to the other diagonal. That's the idea. So that's the problem in this kind of endgames. White will force black to change to the short diagonal, and then it will be very easy to win once the bishop and the king won't have too much mobility. So let's see. The first move here, bishop c8. As I said, we are forcing the bishop to change to the other diagonal, and then bishop b7. Now the bishop has to move, and then just we keep the bishop in the gray diagonal. This means that the other bishop will have to come over here, and then the enemy bishop will be in the short diagonal. Once this happens, it's very easy to win. There are some ways actually to win, but this move actually is very easy. Black plays here king b4, and then bishop a6, and if black trades, we win. If black moves, we win as well. So the endgame is completely won here. So summarizing what we saw in this video, when we are playing this kind of endgames with same color bishops and pawn, it's very easy to get a draw if the defensive side can come in front of the pawn and block it, because then there won't be a way to put the king out of that square. So the king will be blocking, we could say, forever. If this is not happening, then it can be a little more complicated to get a draw. The strong side has some interesting plans, like bringing the bishop here or here, depending on the diagonal the defensive bishop is. And then there are some good possibilities to win. But still, there is another defensive plan. We could call it the backside opposition. Is like this. And when this is happening, actually black or the defensive side can get a draw. Notice that the plan with bishop here is not really working because of the trade, and then the pawn is hanging. And even if our bishop were in the other diagonal, let's say this one, then it's also very well here, because then the usual plan with bishop here on c6 is not really working, because we have the bishop and the king controlling that square. So this backside opposition plan is actually very strong, but it's not always working. There are some positions where it doesn't really help, and one of them is when one of the two diagonals is too short, like 3 squares or less, and that's what happens in the last position we studied, this one. Here white forces black bishop to go to the short diagonal, and then it would be very easy for white to win the endgame. So this is the video I wanted to show you today. I hope you have enjoyed it and you have learned something new here. If it was like that, give me some like. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next. Come in front of the pawn. Well, the plan, one of the diagonals in an opposite colored bishop than the there is another situation we need to remember, and if the bishop were in a different, how do you know what is the way to get how is the plan to win in this kind of positions, in this